to our relationship with others. Napoleon Hill once wrote that it is that the quickest and easiest way to help yourself is to help others to succeed. And I don't know if you're familiar with Napoleon Hill, but he wrote a book which I consider the best book ever written called Think and Grow Rich. How many of you have read Think and Grow Rich? Okay, second assignment for those of you whose hands aren't up, go to Amazon, go to Kindle, go somewhere today and buy
Morley
this book.
Library has it.
There you go. There you go. It is the single most significant book in my life. And to give you a little history on it, Napoleon Hill was a journalist, and he was in the early 1900s. And he had the opportunity to interview Andrew Carnegie, at that time one of the richest men on the planet. And there was something that Andrew saw in Napoleon, and he said, I'd like to make you an offer. Napoleon's probably thinking, cool. He said, I'd like to introduce you to 500 of the world's wealthiest men, and I'd like you to interview them to find out how they got that way. And Napoleon's like, okay, that sounds great. He said, but I have two caveats. Number one, I believe that this is going to take you 20 years to do. And number two, I am not paying you a dime to do it. So Napoleon had a choice. He could stay where he was, relatively comfortable and successful, or he could take a chance and change the world. What he didn't know is that Andrew Carnegie had a stopwatch under the desk set for 60 seconds, at which time that offer would have been off the table. Thankfully, Napoleon Hill said yes with time to spare. And for the next 20 years, he talked to the Fords and Wrigleys and Rockefellers and Carnegies and found their wisdom. And he assembled 13 success qualities, only of which 3 I'm going to talk to you today about. But verse 1, chapter 1 in Think and Grow Rich is to have a burning desire. Think about what you're doing now for your business. Or maybe why you started your business in the first place. There was something there, that burning desire, because you wanted to make a difference in some significant way in the world. And even today, you're getting into the flow. You're finding those things that you are making a difference. Think about how you can get back there if that's something that you've kind of gotten away from. Because that's what successful people do. They love what they do, and they would do it if they weren't making any money at all. They would still choose to do that. He also found that successful people are decisive. They make decisions quickly, and they change them slowly. And the third one is they have strong associations. Because you all know, as business owners or salespeople, that a lot of your friends and family might not necessarily understand what you do or why you do it. But it's coming here to be around other business owners, to be around other entrepreneurs, to be around other people that are looking at growing their business so that you can come together in mutual support. Because there are people in our lives that uplift us. And there are people in our lives that discourage us. And if you were to think about the 5 people that you hang around with most, and you put a plus sign by the people that uplifted you, you know, the people that light up the room when they walk in the room, or you put a minus sign by the people that discourage you, you know, the people that light up the room when they leave, would you have more pluses or minuses? And think about expressing our appreciation to the people that are important to us. When's the time that we say the nicest things about people? It's pretty much at their eulogy, isn't it? There's John laying flat out, everybody's saying all this nice stuff about him. He's not hearing anything. Well, he is, but that's a different story. I think that it should be illegal for us to ever say anything to a person at their eulogy that we did not tell them while they were on the planet. And so taking a moment today and thinking about who needs to hear from you. Your spouse, your kid, your colleagues, your coworkers, to let them know, I appreciate you, because what gets recognized gets repeated. So be specific. Let them know exactly what it is about them that you appreciate. You know, as a speaker, sometimes your words come back to haunt you. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to have a final conversation with my ex-husband. He was just about to lose his battle with stage 4 pancreatic and liver cancer. Jeff had been given 6 months to live, and 18 months later, he was ready to leave. So he was making his phone calls to the important people in his life, and you know, we've been friends for 37 years, so a big part of my life, and Jeff and I were talking. It was a short conversation. I hung up the phone, and then I asked myself the question, did I say everything to Jeff that I would have said if I was reading his eulogy? And the answer was no. So on one hand, the little devil on this shoulder is saying, oh, you don't want to call him. I mean, this has got to be a painful day. He's got to make all these phone calls. Don't bother him. And the angel was like, you know what? You need to have that conversation. So I called him back, and we had this beautiful conversation where there was closure, and a week later, Jeff passed away. And every once in a while, I share that story when I feel that there's somebody that needs to hear it. And I was talking at one program, and a gentleman came up to me afterwards, and he said that he lost his wife after an extended illness. And she never wanted to admit that she was dying, and so out of respect for her, he never had that conversation. And to this day, he regrets it. When we tell somebody we appreciate them, we create a beautiful memory. But when we write it down, we create a treasure. Who needs to hear from you today? And get out a card. You know, one of our eCity students has some beautiful cards there, right there. That you can take one of those cards and write a thank you note, write a note of appreciation, and they're small. So it's not like you have to go into pages and pages, just a short message to somebody that you love to make them know that, because I guarantee you that that becomes treasure.